All right, let's talk about one of the hottest, most competitive, and honestly most confusing jobs in tech right now, the AI engineer. We're going to break down exactly what you need to do to land your very first job in this incredible field.
But first, you know the feeling, right? You see that entry-level job posting, but it's asking for 3 years of experience. It's that classic, super frustrating catch-22. You can't get a job without experience, but you can't get any experience without a job. So how in the world do you break that cycle?
Well, that is exactly what we're here to figure out. We've got a full roadmap laid out for you. We'll start by clearing up what an AI engineer actually is. Then we'll map out the skills you need, look at the different ways to learn them, talk about building a portfolio that truly stands out, and then how to hack the job hunt itself. And we'll wrap up by setting some real expectations for the journey ahead.
Okay, let's dive right in. The title AI engineer gets thrown around a lot, and there's a ton of confusion about it. So we're going to cut through all that noise and get really clear on what this job is, and maybe more importantly, what it is not.
Here it is, the single most important thing to understand. An AI engineer is, at their core, a specialized software engineer. Their job is not to invent brand new AI models from the ground up. Instead, they take these incredibly powerful pre-existing models, think GPT-5 or Llama, and they build real, useful applications on top of them. They're the builders.
Now, this is where a lot of people get tripped up. What's the difference between an AI engineer and an ML engineer? Think of it like this. The ML engineer is like the person who designs and builds a super powerful engine from scratch. The AI engineer is the mechanic and designer who takes that engine and builds a high-performance race car around it. They use the models, adapting them with things like prompt engineering and RAG, which is basically a clever way to give a model new information without having to retrain the whole thing. They turn raw AI power into an actual product.
So why does this distinction matter so much? Well, it all comes down to supply and demand. Right now, there is a massive, massive shortage of people who can do this application building. And that insane demand is pushing salaries into the stratosphere. We're talking $200,000 to $300,000 a year in the US. And honestly, that's often just the baseline. The opportunity is absolutely huge, if you've got the right skills.
So what are those right skills? Don't worry, we're going to lay it all out for you. We've broken it down into 3 tiers, from the absolute must-haves to the skills that will make you a total rock star candidate.
First up, Tier 1. Think of these as the table stakes. They are completely non-negotiable. You need strong Python skills, and I mean clean, production-ready code, not just some messy scripts in a notebook. You also need the basic toolkit of any software developer. Git for version control, being comfortable in the command line, and knowing how to work with APIs. And yeah, even though you aren't training models, you do need to grasp the core ML concepts so you can speak the language. Okay, now for Tier 2. This is the bread and butter of the AI engineer's day-to-day. This is all about using AI APIs from places like OpenAI, mastering prompt engineering, and building those RAG applications we talked about to hook models up to custom data. It's also about building agents, systems that don't just talk but can actually reason and take actions. And, this is crucial, you have to be able to deploy your work using tools like Docker on cloud platforms like AWS or Azure.
And finally, we have Tier 3. These are the skills that take you from being a good candidate to a great one. This is where you get into advanced RAG or efficient fine-tuning methods like LoRa to really dial in a model's performance. It's also about thinking strategically, knowing which model to use for which job, based on trade-offs like cost and speed. And this tier also includes the incredibly important but often forgotten areas of AI security, privacy, and ethics.
Okay, wow, that is a lot of stuff to learn, right? So the very natural next question is, how on earth do you actually learn it all? There are a few main paths, and the best one for you really depends on your budget, how much time you have, and how you learn best. Let's break down the 4 big options. First, self-study. It's super cheap and flexible, but you have to be your own drill sergeant. Then you have boot camps, which offer structure and are awesome for career changers. A master's degree can definitely help you get your resume past the filters at big tech companies, but fair warning, the curriculum can sometimes be a little behind the curve. And a PhD, honestly, for this specific hands-on role, it's probably not the best use of 4 to 6 years. For most people aiming for a startup, a solid technical degree paired with focused self-study is the sweet spot.
No matter which path you take, listen up because this is probably the most important part of this whole explainer. You absolutely, 100%, must build projects. Reading about it is one thing, but employers need to see cold, hard proof that you can actually build stuff.
And pay close attention here because this is where so many people mess up. Everybody follows along with the tutorial. What gets you hired is when you go out and find your own messy, unique, real-world data and build a complete end-to-end application that you actually deploy for people to use. You have to prove you can do what they'd ask you to do on the job.
So here it is, your 6-step playbook for a killer project. Step 1, find unique data. Step 2, build that full pipeline. Step 3, plug in an AI model using RAG or fine-tuning. Step 4, and don't skip this, deploy it. Make it real. And the last 2 steps are just as critical. Document everything on GitHub so people can see your thought process, and then share it. Write a blog post, talk about it online. Don't build something amazing just to hide it in a folder on your computer.
All right, you've learned the skills, you've built an incredible project. Now for the final boss, actually landing the job. This is all about marketing yourself, and there are a few smart tricks to make you stand out from the pile. Let's start with some quick wins for your resume and LinkedIn. First, move your skills section right to the very top. Then, make your projects section big, bold, and impossible to miss. And that headline? Change it from aspiring AI engineer to something confident like AI engineer building production LLM applications. You want to sound like the solution they've been looking for, not someone asking for a chance. But here's the harsh truth. Even with the world's most perfect resume, if you don't have direct industry experience on there, you are at a huge risk of getting tossed out by an automated screening system, a robot, before a human being ever even sees your name. So what's the move? How do you get past the robot gatekeepers and make sure a real person actually sees how much potential you have? The answer is smart, strategic outreach. And I am not talking about just spamming people for referrals. This is a much smarter, way more effective approach. Find something a company or an engineer there has done that you genuinely think is cool, a blog post, a paper, whatever. Send a message praising it, and then ask a really smart, informed question about it. Your only goal is to start a real conversation, and only after you've built that little bit of rapport, that's when you can ask for feedback on your project, or maybe even a referral. It's powerful because it's genuine. We have covered a ton of ground. But for this last section, I want to talk about what might be the single most important piece of advice in this entire explainer: setting realistic expectations for yourself. I'm just going to be straight with you. This is not a 3-month journey. If you're starting from scratch, learning part-time, you should think of this as a multi-year process. Your first year is all about getting the fundamentals down. The next year is about building those complex projects. It could easily take 2 to 3 years to feel truly competent, and 3 to 5 years or even more to grow into a senior leadership role. And really, that's the whole secret. The people who think they're going to become an expert in a few months are the ones who get frustrated and quit. The ones who actually make it are the ones who understand this is a marathon, not a sprint. They set realistic goals, and they focus on making just a little bit of progress every single day. This field is so incredibly rewarding, and you don't have to be a master of everything just to get in the game. You just have to start. So the only real question left is, now that you have the map, what's the first thing you're going to build?